Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
Tune in to Lead Story, weekdays at 6 p.m. Hosted by Jody Ann Quarry.
Internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Hey, what I want?
Hi, I am Candy Pang.
What I want?
What a guan?
That I want.
What a guan?
What I want?
What a guan? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
And that's a guan for what a guan?
Tonight on Small Biz, Big Dreams, we meet Peter Gay, whose pastry business will make you have a sweeter day. This is Small Biz, Big Dreams.
For the past 6 years, Peter Gay Dickinson has been operating her food business, Love Live Families, seafood, pastries, and more. Starting in 2020 from her home kitchen, Dickinson says she built the business through hard work, dedication, and a love for cooking.
I lost my husband back in 2021. So in order for me to heal, I started watching YouTube videos of cakes, and then I just launched off doing it. I didn't went to any school or anything, and that's how I healed from my pain.
What started as a small home-based operation has now grown into a business offering seafood, pastries, and a variety of meals to customers looking for home-style flavors. Dickinson says family support and consistency have been key to keeping the business going.
I offer slushy, pastries, customized t-shirts, engraving, wedding bouquets, wedding cakes, everything. So we're gonna put on our gummy bears. Let me use a different one. Yeah, let me use this. Right, you know the kids, them love the gummy bear. Them love the gummy bear, but. And let me get the worm. Them always want worm. And everybody favorites, the coconut flakes. So the coconut flakes are the best. Let me just top a little Oreo for the goodies. Yes. I think this one is fine because you know we don't want to put a lot of excitement on the top. So we're gonna just work with this.
As her business continues to grow, Dickinson is encouraging other aspiring entrepreneurs to trust the process, stay focused, and believe in their dreams.
God first. Put God first in everything you do, and He will lead you in the right path. So you can find me on TikTok, Peter Gay Dickinson, and you can also find me at Love Life Family Seafood on Instagram, or you can contact me 876-381-9948.
Next week, we meet another business, so you don't want to miss this.
But until then, for Small Biz, Big Dreams, I'm Kevin Black.
I will say fry planting for Sunday morning. Head that spin when Leela walks in. You don't know this is Leela. I can't wear up for CVM. See tapping right here on CVM TV. Love and life.
Fan Central Extra Time is brought to you by the Pepsi Football Nation, where fans make the rules. Football, better with Pepsi. We also want to thank Courts, bringing value home.
Match link up, Fan Central full up. Me team win, every bad cover lift up. Them a silly billy. Me carry real bad team, not a illy billy. Now bandwagon to the thing, now bother switchy switchy. Represent for your team to the nitty gritty. School silly billy. Now bother tell me about your team and them to make the semi. Game sweet, girl I call it sugar daddy. CVM TV, for everybody.
All right, so the full-time whistle has gone, people, and we're now into Extra Time. It's Fan Central Extra Time, powered by Pepsi, right here on CVM TV. And we are bringing you all the latest insights, news, analysis, and fan-fueled interactions throughout the 39 days of the greatest show on earth. What's my name? Jordan Fort. And guess what? Our top fact today, the smallest nation by land area held the 2010 champion Spain to a 0-0 draw on World Cup debut today. Yes, Cabo Verde is in fact the smallest nation at the World Cup. Curacao is the smallest by population, but Cabo Verde is the smallest by land area. And did you know that superstar Cristiano Ronaldo has roots in Cabo Verde? I bet nobody knew that, right? His paternal grandmother hails from the island of Cabo Verde. There's an island called São Vicente. Of course, Cabo Verde is an archipelago, so it's made up of many different islands, and Cristiano Ronaldo's paternal great-grandmother is from one of those islands. Anyway, enough of my minor facts. Coach Jermaine Thomas is alongside me, and he'll be giving some big facts throughout the show. Coach Thomas is a coaching educator with the JFF, an assistant coach with the National Men's Under-20 team, head coach of Malines United Football Club and McGraw High School, also served as part of the women's coaching staff as well. On Zoom, we're going to be joined by Brent Sancho. Brent was a member of Trinidad's 2006 World Cup team, and of course he had a major club career in the UK, Europe and North America, and served as Minister of Sport for Trinidad and Tobago. Rashida Murphy. Where's Rashida? Give me Rashida. Okay, there she is. She's in the fan corner. And we'll be hearing from her a little bit later on. We can't wait to hear her take on all that happened today. And of course, we ask you to join in on the conversation. Send us your videos and keep sharing your thoughts on WhatsApp 876-833-0897 or message us on Instagram or Facebook at CVM_television. That's at CVM_television. It's the same thing on both Instagram and Facebook. And let me just repeat that WhatsApp number for you. It's 876-833-0897. So the results from today's matches are: Cabo Verde held Spain to a shock 0-0 result, and Saudi Arabia stunned Uruguay, drawing 1-1 with them. And it was a late goal from Uruguay that pulled them level, by the way, for that 1-1 draw. Belgium and Egypt also ended 1-1 on a day of drawn results. And just to cap off the drawn results day, Iran and New Zealand ended 2-2. Big story that, by the way, because of course we know all that surrounded Iran entering this World Cup. Of course, their camp has to be in Mexico. They had to fly to the US just for this game. There are your group results on screen. That was the group with Germany, the group E. But Iran drawing with New Zealand today. So lots of drawn results. In fact, only drawn results on today's match day 5. Started on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today's Monday. It's match day 5 of the greatest show on earth, being held over there, of course, in the 3 countries, the USA, Canada, and Mexico. So it's 39 days of the World Cup. It's 3 countries. It's 4 time zones, right? It's 48 teams. It's 104 matches. A lot of numbers that for you, but of course, the excitement is building. Oh, I need to probably tally how many goals we've seen. By the way, people, again, I was forced. Just forget this is here. Just look at the maroon and the yellow. It's, you know, reminiscent of Spain. That's my team. You listen, the producer them always set me up in a coach. Because how you put me in a Belgium jersey on a day when Spain play?
You're repping for Belgium today,
No, I'm not repping for Belgium today. I'm repping for Spain.
I thought
for the entire World Cup.
When I saw you walked in,
You thought I was repping for Belgium?
Yes, and I was wondering, whoa.
Them keep setting me up, and I said, just bring me a Spain jersey, please. And yeah, man, we'll bring you a Spain jersey. Then you bring a Belgium jersey, come.
Whoa.
And I can't even say no, because, you know, producers run the show. So what do you know? I'm in a Belgium jersey. But, you know, having said that, my team, Spain, just had to go and end the goal streak at the World Cup, right? There was no game, no nil-all game in a coach before Spain play Cabo Verde today. We have lots of goals right throughout the World Cup. And all of a sudden, Spain had to come with their boring Spain play. Possession. That meant nothing really. Side-to-side possession. Coach will take us through that a little bit later on. But yeah, no goals in that game. And the biggest result of Cabo Verde's life, you know, first World Cup game ever, holding the 2010 world champions to a 0-0 draw. So only drawn results today, Coach.
Yeah.
Any surprises for you?
Of course I'm surprised. We all thought Spain was going to walk over, but it was just not so. The team CP was really organized, and they really showed everything. They fought gallantly, and they stood tall when they needed to.
Yeah, well, guess what? Some other big news coming out of the World Cup. Tunisia, they wasted no time. They fired their coach. After being humbled by Sweden. They got 5-1 from Sweden yesterday, and immediately gone with the coach. We've seen this before. This is not new to the World Cup. I think most recent might have been Julen Lopetegui. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember him being fired during the World Cup as well. It was for a slightly different thing. I remember he had taken the Real Madrid job, and then it was a kind of a little bit of a tussle with the Spanish Football Federation. They didn't like that he was taking the club job at the same time as the World Cup, and they let him go. Eventually lost the Real Madrid job as well. But he's not at the helm at Qatar. And you know, they managed to eke out a draw as well at the World Cup. So, you know, he's doing well. But yeah, Tunisia firing their coach. Your thoughts on that, coach? Because I mean, you know, you're a coach. You're at the World Cup, the biggest stage. Yes, you just got swamped by Sweden 5-1, and it was a lackluster display from Tunisia. But at the same time, I mean, how can this rock a dressing room in the midst of the biggest tournament of their life?
Yeah, it depends on the cause. It depends on the reasons behind firing the coach. It can be several things. The federation would never ever just get up and release a coach or fire a coach because of, you know, whatever is going on. So based on interpretation now from the players, based on what took place, that will determine how they respond to it. Mm-hmm. If it was a case where players are saying, we are not comfortable, we're not trusting our coach, we're not willing to work with the coach, then your dressing room will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is something behind it, Coach, because it says while the result on the pitch was a primary catalyst for his dismissal, it's been reported that there had been significant dressing room unrest, tension in the dressing room, brewing behind the scenes, and his tenure across all competitions ends after just 5 matches in the dugout, by the way. It appears that the lack of cohesion between the coaching staff and the playing squad made his position untenable once the pressure on the world stage was applied. So, Rashida, I want you to chime in here, over there in the fan corner. I mean, I guess it's not a surprise you lost 5-1, but at the same time, to do this after the first game of a World Cup, what are your thoughts?
Yes, Jordan. As an avid watcher of the African Cup of Nations, this is not even the most surprising thing that could have happened, because I've seen it time and time again. Even before a game or a ball has been kicked, they like to sack their coaches. And this is the second Tunisia coach that is being sacked leading up into the World Cup, because just last year they had to sack their coach after a poor performance at AFCON. And so coming into this, they also did not have a lot of the fans were not convinced of the coach's ideas and where he wanted to go with the team, because we can all agree Tunisia plays very boring football at times, and they don't bring anything to tournaments, and it was going to come at some point, but for the first game it's a bit sad.
Yeah, sad for Tunisia, sad for North Africa, all of Africa. I mean, I'm not trying to... Africa is not a monolith. I hate when people try to just group Africa. But let's see what happens to them now, what kind of results they'll produce, having got rid of the coach 1 match into the tournament. It's time now for you, Coach, to make your way over to the coaches board, because we want to do some breakdowns now. Of course, we saw that sensational Cabo Verde result against Spain, so you can just make your way around behind me, Coach, over to the coaches board. Cabo Verde holding Spain to a 0-0 draw. Spain with over 70% possession, and we have what is being described as a defensive masterclass from Cabo Verde. The neutrals looking on, watching that game, thought, boring match. But the coach, Jermaine Thomas, he thought, wow, brilliant structural display, brilliant defensive display from Cabo Verde. What did they do to nullify Spain? Who's who here?
All right, red is Cabo
Verde.
This was an exciting game for me. I enjoyed the game, really enjoyed it, because I'm thinking that they fought and they worked really hard. They were organized, they were disciplined. Now, you had about 3 lines. It was the lowest a line can ever get. The lowest you will ever see one of them low blocks.
Yeah.
And you could see clearly the back 4 just on top of the 18 right here. They're right here. And then sometimes it was even 5 in this last line. 5. And then you had 4 in front. And then you had the number 9, the striker, coming all the way back here. And at sometimes you saw him frustrated when they won possession of the ball and kicked it away or something like that. He would, started reacting negatively. But nonetheless, followed instructions and he was right here. Now, Spain had it tough. They tried to go around. Cucurella was all the way up here. So they tried to use width. The right back.
Yeah, Marcos Llorente.
Right, Marcos was all the way up here. So they tried to use width on both sides. When that was not good enough, and they still couldn't get through, the holding midfielders for Spain, both of them push high. All right, push high. So the 8, the 10, the 10 started seeping through, trying to find spaces in this area. The 8 also tried to find spaces through this area. But the second line was very vigilant. They were quick to civil across. So if the ball was on this side, the entire line would come right across. Shift, perfect balance between, and they had coverage right across. If the ball was played back, then everybody simultaneously would have pushed forward. So it left no space for Spain. 1 and 2 times, they would have gotten through. 1 and 2 times, because they missed a couple of opportunities. But they were willing to throw their bodies on the line to block the shots. The goalkeeper was awesome. He was good, very, very commanding, was not afraid to leave his line. Picked out a couple of good crosses, and he was dominant inside here. But for me, it was this player here and how they react to the crosses that was being fired in from Cucurella's side. And then the runs in between. They brought on Yamal. And when they brought on Yamal, the first Yamal went to the wide right. Here. First ball, 3 defenders immediately surrounded him. No, they had, so clearly instruction would have been given from the dressing room before they went on the pitch. So immediately 3. Yamal could not penetrate, probably got through 1 or 2 times, but what he had to do when there was no space, had to play back, had to play here, and then they civil right back inside, and then they create this huge wall in front of Spain, and I think this frustrated them.
Indeed, it did. Spain were very, very frustrated. We saw Yamal, as you mentioned, the wonder kid for Spain, not being able to break them down. Tyrone Marshall, of course, is a former reggae boy and had a decorated career as a defender and would have enjoyed that defensive masterclass. So we'll go back to Tyrone and get his thoughts a little bit later on. But let us take a break here on Fan Central Extra Time. And when we come back, we give you more breakdown. Of course, we want to talk about that Belgium versus Egypt game where Belgium had to salvage a point. Stay with us. More Fan Central Extra Time right after this.
Silly Billy, nobody tell me about your team and them to make the semi. Game sweet, girl I call it Sugar Daddy. CVM TV, for everybody.
Welcome to the Pepsi Football Nation.
Rule number 1, it's called football, not soccer. Rule number 2, they should get rid of VAR.
No. Every decision should go to VAR.
Write this down. Pepsi should be the official drink of the nation.
I love that. They won't agree on anything.
That's where Rule 100 kicks in. Everything gets settled on the pitch. What about you? What rule would you want?
Everybody want to see if a country right now.
One thing about Jamaicans, we might have differences, but we know when something is good for all of us. And when we work together against crime and violence, we are stronger than ever. And that's how we know the Citizen Security Plan can work.
That one that name CSP.
The Citizen Security Plan is an initiative of the Ministry of National Security in partnership with the European Union. It's an all-of-government effort to create safer streets and build stronger communities. Go to mns.gov.jm to learn how you can play your part.
Watagwan. Watagwan.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
Silly Billy, nobody tell me about your team and them to make the semi. Game sweet, girl I call it Sugar Daddy. CVM TV, for everybody. When the Lala gonna taffy full up, match link up fan.
All right, welcome back to Fan Central Extra Time. The final whistle has gone and we take you into Extra Time where we give you all the news, insights, all the interesting views happening over there at the greatest show on earth. 4 matches today, 4 drawn results. Spain and Cabo Verde 0-0. Saudi Arabia, Uruguay 1-1. Belgium, Egypt 1-1. Iran and New Zealand ending 1-1. Look at those statistics on screen for the next match we'll discuss now. That is Belgium versus Egypt, which ended in a 1-1 draw. Egypt taking the lead when Ashore hit a real good strike in the 19th minute, and Belgium salvaging a point. An own goal, I guess we can say, created by Big Rom, the big striker, Romelu Lukaku, the top goal scorer for Belgium in their history. His introduction brought a goal for them. But look at the statistics, 15 shots to 14. So Egypt gave as good as they got. They had more shots on target. Belgium edged the possession battle. Belgium had more passes and pass accuracy, higher percentage pass accuracy. Belgium didn't have any offsides. Egypt, though, had 7 corner kicks. And I think for the entire game, one Omar Marmouche was a nuisance for the Belgium defense. They really couldn't contain him as he was linking up with the likes of the great Mohamed Salah. And as we mentioned, the extremely good goal from ashore really put a lot of pressure on the Belgium team. So, Coach, looking at those statistics, should we be surprised at the result? Because I think a lot of people would probably just look at the names and go, oh, Belgium should be beating Egypt. But look at the stats there, they're very, very even.
No, not surprised at all. Belgium, Egypt played, and they have very good players and confident players and some good midfielders who they were not afraid to connect. They play through the lines. They were good 1v1s. They had some success down the flanks and inside the central areas. And they were not afraid to control the tempo of the game when that was needed. If they needed to be aggressive, they were aggressive. And they really came out and gave a confident performance.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you to go back to the board for the playbook here because we want to see how Egypt was able to contain Belgium. Of course, we mentioned that the Belgians introduced Lukaku and it brought a goal, but really and truly couldn't really penetrate and break down this Egypt side like they wanted to. And in some instances, it looked like Egypt was actually going to go on to snatch all 3 points here. The group now, though, obviously wide open because there's 2 drawn results so far. Obviously, with this 48-team World Cup, we're going to have a number of best third-place teams going through, so kind of eliminates the whole group of death situation. But still, it makes the group very interestingly poised so far. Coach, you're at the playbook now, so who's who?
Blue, Belgium, and Egypt. Belgium, in their build-up phase, they started out with 4 on paper. But in their build-up phase, it switched to 3. One of the wing backs push all the way up top. So they had 3 at the back in their build-up phase. 2.
That's for Belgium.
Right. Yeah. Right. Belgium.
So their wing backs were Mounier and Castagna.
Yeah. Right. Right. Mounier moved, I think, somewhat. Yeah. And the holding midfielders, the 2 pivots, and this is a trend we have been seeing in
Onana and Tielemans.
Yeah, in the World Cup where most teams are going with double pivots. Right. All right. But Tielemans was really up and about, trying to find spaces. All right. And stuff like that. But Egypt, on the other hand, stayed compact when they needed to. So they kept this kind of structure right through. Now, when they got a chance to counter, they would hit Salah immediately. All right, or ashore, but Salah mostly. Now Salah dropping off deep in these spaces, picking up, and then hitting ashore here, or playing in the 9. And because of his ability to use the ball under pressure and in tight spaces, Salah was successful, and the goal came from that. Yeah, a play like that where Salah. And the striker Marmouche, right? They came to the right-hand side of the pitch. The entire back line of
of Belgium
came across with them. So they came to the right hand. So like I said, they came to this side of the pitch. All right. They came let's say go this side. They came to this side of the pitch. The back line came all the way over. 3, wing back, centre half. He was left here with Ashore. Ashore came out of the central area just a little bit. So this was Ashore. When the ball was played to Salah here, while the ball was traveling to Salah, Ashore stepped inside here. He was all the way over here. Salah played into him one time here and connected here. Right. By the time They get across. They were late. He was left outside here. Asher turned inside, and then finished. But they were late.
Direct shot on goal.
Right, because the congested over here was overloaded. 3 went across, left 1. He, when the ball was traveling, moved inside, ball played, he went on to goal.
And he struck it very early.
Yes,
struck it true.
Right,
and it was a brilliant finish from Ashore. Tyrone Marshall, as we mentioned, knows a lot about defending, and he'd have seen a few defensive masterclasses.
Some friends of mine.
Yeah, you're hearing us loud and clear, Tyrone. I just want you to talk to me about the game we've been talking about, the Belgium versus Egypt, and what Egypt did to Belgium to prevent them from, of course, overturning that 1-0 deficit, because, of course, Egypt struck first, and just the defensive solidity that they showed that Coach Jermaine Thomas just spoke about.
Yeah, I thought the Egyptians defended well. Obviously, numbers behind the ball, as Coach was mentioned, they want to hit Belgium on the counter. And so, just like how you saw Salah play with Liverpool, you dress over to the right, and Mamouche would come. And what that does, it attracts the defenders to one side and does open space on the weak side, because wherever the ball is on the strong side. So that's, it attracts the defenders to one side, and hopefully they can hit Salah. Mamouche is now the threat in behind, and, finding the ball on the weak side, which as Coach alluded to, led to the Egyptian goal. Like I said, they seem to be really compact in their defending, numbers behind the ball, but always, with the mindset of once we win the ball, the first action, we're going to look to play forward to eliminate those defenders. And now you have that 1v1, 2v2 situation with Salah and Mamouche, running at the back line. And you can see that all game. They were in shambles, like you said. Mamouche was, setting them on fire. The defenders didn't know what to do. So really good in terms of their structure, sitting back and looking to counter on the transition.
As a defender, Tyrone, I want to ask you also about, you didn't join us for the first discussion with Spain and Cabo Verde. I want to ask you about what you thought of how Cabo Verde defended against Spain. Coach Thomas said it was the deepest a line, 2 lines can get. The defensive line and the midfield line were so close together and they were so deep. Spain just could not penetrate them. What were your thoughts on their defensive structure?
Yeah, I mean, Cape Verde came in with a really good master plan of defending. I mean, their line, I think it probably might be 8-yard max in between the defenders. So from front to back, it could be 25 yards, if that much. And then the width, probably about 30 to 35. So really compact, anytime anyone stepped up, it was a short distance to cover. And like the coach alluded to, when Yamal got the ball, there's 3 defenders around him. So no time, no space. The distance was easy to adjust to in terms of the shifting. There wasn't a lot of space to run, from one defender to the other. So that's why they were able to maintain that block and that structure and made it really difficult for the Spaniards. And, they got frustrated. Obviously, the Spaniards had a lot of shots, but they weren't, shots that were like, it's a lot more threatening. I think they had 7 shots on target, 26 in total. However, the Cape Verdeans, they were really good in terms of just their compactness and making sure that they kept everything in front of them. And whenever, the danger man was on the ball, they always seemed to have numbers around those guys to force them to play negative, and they'll just shift their lines around. And they were really, really disciplined in their, their structure. A very good masterclass. And as you saw at the end, I think the Spanish coach went over to the Cape Verde coach and told him, muy bien, defensor. So, very good defense, he mentioned to him at the end.
Yeah, indeed. We're seeing the stats on screen. Of course, the possession stats differ based on how they tabulate it, because now I know FIFA has a in-play possession statistic that they try to cover in it as well. But some possession stats had Spain having as much as 74% of the ball. Now, it's a big criticism of Spain all the time, Coach Jermaine Thomas, is that they have the ball, but they're not penetrative. You had mentioned to me in the break that a lot of the passes were side to side instead of back to front.
That was a huge problem, I think, for Spain. They spent a lot of time going to Cucurella. If they went central, the ball will come back a bit deeper, and then to left, or they would have gone to the right-hand side. So they were pretty much horizontal. The striker did not touch the ball until about 34, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
He was a 9. And that says a lot. And if you're unable to go through the low block, you try to go around, fine. They're in carrying the ball, moving the ball from left and right, you must try and slip through 1 or 2 times. And he was there moving the holding midfielders, the 8, the 6, Roger, and them guys, they were moving up and down. They were on the ball a whole lot. But the ball did not go to the number 9, and I am having a problem with that.
Yeah, Mikel Oyarzabal, of course, Spain's striker, the first player since 1966 to go the first 30 minutes of a World Cup match without a touch of the ball. I wonder who keeps those stats. Spain had 74% possession in their draw. That particular stat came from Opta Joe. I don't know if they've been tracking from all the way at 1966, but it's the first time they're saying that a striker has not touched the ball in the first 30 minutes of a World Cup game since 1966, and that was the Spanish striker Mikel Oyarzabal. So that backs up your claim, coach. We have a couple more games to go through, of course. One just ended before we came on air. I want to talk about that as well. But first, Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay. Again, we saw where a lesser team in Saudi Arabia took the lead over Uruguay in the 41st minute, and Uruguay had to score in the 80th minute to salvage a draw. Tyrone, let me bring you back in here. What is it about these lesser teams that's really frustrating their more fancied counterparts?
I think the biggest thing, those teams have nothing to lose. So they're going to come in and, if they have to sit back a bit, and counter on the transition, right? Or transition on the counter, right? It's, they're going to do it. Where as a Uruguay, they're going to come in and try to break you down. They're going to play pretty football. They think they're the better team. They should win. They should get the result. And in turn, that mindset sometimes lead to, the games like you're seeing where the 1-1 draws or 0-0 because they're thinking the opponent is not up to their standard. However, it's 48 teams that made the World Cup, and they were, one of the 48 better teams in the world, right? So you got to give those teams that made the World Cup a little bit of, kudos in terms of the quality that they do possess. They're able on any given day to play good football. And on this particular day, like you said, they scored first, and they sat back for a bit until, the Uruguayans eventually got through. But again, you got to tap your hat to these, these coaches and the strategies that they're coming in, and the players in particular that they're executing as well on such high level, in terms of the game plan.
All right, want to get quick thoughts on the Iran-New Zealand encounter, but that's going to be after the break on Fan Central Extra Time, and then we'll give you an overall picture of the groups that were played today, how they were affected based on the results. Stay with us. Fan Central Extra Time continues after this break.
CVM TV for everybody.
Welcome to the Pepsi Football Nation.
Rule number 1, it's called football, not soccer. Rule number 2, they should get rid of VAR.
No. Every decision should go to VAR.
Write this down. Pepsi should be the official drink of the nation.
I love that. They won't agree on anything.
That's where Rule 100 kicks in. Everything gets settled on the pitch. What about you? What rule would you want?
Employers, once a month, you have the power to shape Jamaica's future. By paying your hard 3% contribution, you're not just contributing, you're investing in people, in skills, in our economy. Your hard contribution trains working-age Jamaicans, aligns programs with workforce needs, and secures our future. That's not just contribution, it's transformation. Contribute to heart and to your future.
Welcome to the Pepsi Football Nation.
Rule number 1, it's called football, not soccer. Rule number 2, they should get rid of VAR.
No. Every decision should go to VAR.
Write this down. Pepsi should be the official drink of the nation.
I love that. They won't agree on anything.
That's where Rule 100 kicks in. Everything gets settled on the pitch. What about you? What you want?
Make the semi. Game Street, girl, I call it Sugar Daddy. CVM TV, for everybody. When the Lala gonna have to full up, match link up, Fan Central.
All right, welcome back to Fan Central Extra Time. So we told you there were lots of drawn results today. In fact, there were only drawn results today. And the groups affected were groups F, groups G, and groups A and group H. Now, group F, of course, we saw the late game yesterday, and Sweden and Tunisia, and the Tunisia coach getting fired after that. Group G was affected: New Zealand, Iran, Belgium, and Egypt, Uruguay, Saudi Arabia, Spain, and Cabo Verde. Now, Rashida is going to give us an overview of what the groups now look like. Rashida, what do you have for us?
Hi, Jordan. So here we're starting with Group F. Who would have predicted that Sweden would be the only team in this group to get a win? So they are standing as the group at first, and then we have Japan, who also displayed a very incredible game. Netherlands is third. Tunisia, I think this is one of the most predictable ones that they're not going to advance throughout the group. And then we can move on to Group G.
Yeah, in Group G, we have New Zealand, Iran, Belgium, and Egypt. And of course, only drawn results in that group today. We just talked about them. By the way, the New Zealand-Iran 1-1, New Zealand-Iran 2-2 draw. A big result for Iran. We've been talking about big results for Cabo Verde and big results for Qatar. But we can go back to Rashida in Group G.
Yes, so with Group G, as you mentioned, Jordan, that electrifying game. If you missed it, I'm sorry, it's never going to come back. So Iran is topping the group here. They had one of the better performances. New Zealand was right there with them as well. Belgium, I would like to bold and say that Belgium probably finishes second in this group. Egypt, not sure what happens throughout the rest of the match days. But so far, this group, I think it's a pretty open group for teams to be able to advance out of this group with only 2 teams to make it. Next group coming up, we're having Group H. Yes, so we're here now with Group H. Again, not predictable that this is what the group would look like, but we still have more games to go. And so we have Uruguay on top. I think they are not the best team in this group, but for now they're gonna be at first. Saudi Arabia, they love themselves a South American team at the opening of the World Cup, so they deserve this second place here. Spain, disappointing. I know a lot of the Spain fans would have wanted them to come out with a win to just solidify themselves going into the rest of the games, but you snooze, you lose. And Cape Verde, I think, also has a slight chance. If they don't make it, that's fine. It's their first World Cup. They have so much to look forward to. And this group, I would say that people are looking at Spain and Uruguay to be the ones qualifying out of the group. And I think that's pretty safe to say. Sorry, Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde.
All right. So that's an overview of how the groups look. Of course, lots of things to change. And as we keep mentioning, because it's worth mentioning, I know a lot of people forget, this is a 48-team World Cup. And so a number of best third place teams will be going through. 8 in total will be going through. And it's a round of 32 after the group stage. We're not used to that because we're used to group stage and then round of 16, right? So normally you start with 32 and then you cut that in half and you go down to 16. Now you start with 48 and then of course you cut down to 32. So you're only making 16 teams after the group stage. Rashida also has some thoughts on the top players of the day. Rashida, who do you think stood out for today?
So today was a really interesting match day, Jordan. I think a lot of the teams that people don't expect, not the powerhouses, would have really showed up throughout this World Cup. And I want to start off with Cabo Verde's goalkeeper. You know, he's 40 years of age. In today's society and also in football, that's considered to be uncle status, unfortunately. But he put up a very incredible display against, you'd say, a mediocre Spain forward line. But he held his own. He just did incredibly well. And his story is also very, heartwarming. You know, he's shared that his family wasn't able to be there with him in America because of visa issues, and also his country, their first World Cup. So he just became the ultimate a hero, I think, and he's going to go down in history.
And he got 3 million plus new followers.
Right, that's also because he started off with 50,000 followers on Instagram, and then by the end of the match, you know, a lot of persons, and this is the beauty of the World Cup, Jordan, a lot of players and countries that, because a lot of persons didn't even know where Cabo Verde was located, and so this gives them an insight to the players and also scouts as well across Europe. Again, he's 40 years of age, not writing him off completely, but if he was in his 20s, I think a lot of major clubs would be looking at him to be like, we need this guy. So he's one of my best performers for today. I would go Australia, not Australia, New Zealand. I would say New Zealand's
Just,
yes, that's one of the players I had on my list as well. He also broke a record for them coming into today. He's one of the first New Zealand players to score 2 goals in a World Cup match, and he's also their highest goal scorer. He was just absolutely dominating the park today, and he's also dropping back as well, so that's something that we're seeing with a lot of the teams where their attackers are being asked, you know, put in some defensive work, and he was just amazing in that regards. Let me just look here, Jordan, who else I had on my list, because I wanted to put 5 or 10 players, but that wasn't. Imam Ashur from Egypt as well. I think for Egypt, a lot of persons are looking at Mohamed Salah as being, you know, the beacon of hope for them in the attack, but given Salah's, you know, reign with Liverpool and how that season ended for him, and as the biggest Salah hater, I wasn't looking for him to show up in an Egypt jersey. I'm sorry, Jordan.
You're a big Salah hater too?
Yes, I can. If you'd like me to give you my top 3 players I hate for the World Cup, I can do
Salah
that.
is one of them?
Yes.
Oh. Wow.
So Salah, Kane, and the list will continue throughout the World Cup.
All right. Well, I think you probably just don't like any player who doesn't play for Chelsea. I don't know. Maybe it's that's the thing. But you mentioned the Egyptian player Mamashur. So I thought it would have been Marmoush.
Marmoush.
No, he didn't score.
Right.
But tell me why you made your pick.
I don't necessarily, so this is not hater Rashida here, this is just critical what Rashida, who's watched him in a Man City jersey week in, week out. He hasn't wowed me so far, and throughout this game, I was really expecting him to get in more in the box and, you know, putting out a bit more movement and work, because there were a lot of players around him who are doing more, you know, or getting there. And as you said, he didn't score, and I think a lot of times we just like to focus on the players who got the assist or the goals and not necessarily those who put in a shift. But I wasn't wowed by him today. Hopefully he redeems himself throughout the World Cup.
All right, so 28-year-old Imam Ashur is your other top pick. Coach, you agree with that 3, or anybody else who pops up, who stood out to you throughout today's matches?
I was impressed with Tillemans. I thought he really played. He tried, and he was moving from a double pivot 6 to a 10 sometimes. At times I saw him running past the number 9, trying to get the ball in the back of the net. So I thought he was good. Ashur for me was awesome. Played really well. Salah on the day was good. He was good. He was dropping into some tight pockets, tight spaces, and was never ever afraid to play. Some good touches and then releasing the ball as early as possible and then joining the attack. So I thought those 3 stood out for me.
On his 34th birthday, by the way, Mohamed Salah. Tyrone, your thoughts on the top 3, and give your thoughts on who stood out to you today.
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper from Cape Verde definitely was someone to highlight. You know, I don't think the scouts are going to be looking for him to play in Europe anytime soon. However,
he's 40.
You know, I thought he stood on top of his head today. So, you know, kudos to him. And, you know, I kind of disagree a little bit with the Egyptian Mamouche. I thought he was a very good player today because he was so busy. He created a lot of problems for the Belgians. That's probably one of the better games I've seen him play, obviously without him scoring. But, I mean, he was a headache for the Belgians today. It was a handful. And I think that's what created a lot more opportunities for the other players around him, because of how active he was and how busy he was. You know, I think he would have capped off, he would have got man of the match if he had scored. But those are the 2 that's...
Yeah, I like those two picks as well, Tyrone. As we head towards the finishing end of this show, we're going to take a break, but we also want to look ahead to what's to come tomorrow, because many people's favorite teams will bow into action tomorrow. The man beside me told me the World Cup didn't start until Brazil played, and I know many other people are going to be thinking that the World Cup doesn't start until the world champions, Argentina, play. They'll play tomorrow. Stay with us on Fan Central Extra Time. When we come back, we look at tomorrow's matches.
Match link up, Fan Central full up. Me team win, every bad cover lift up. Them a silly billy. Me carry real bad team, not a illy billy. Now bandwagon to the thing, now bad a switchy switchy. Represent for your team to the nitty gritty. School
Welcome to the Pepsi Football Nation.
Rule number 1, it's called football, not soccer.
Rule number 2, they should get rid of VAR.
No. Every decision should go to VAR.
Write this down. Pepsi should be the official drink of the nation.
I love that. They won't agree on anything.
That's where Rule 100 kicks in. Everything gets settled on the pitch. What about you? What rule would you want?
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments. Supermed Family of Pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Full up, match link up, Fan Central full up. Me team win, every bad cover lift up. Them a silly billy. Me carry real bad team, not a illy billy. Now bandwagon to the thing, now bad a switchy switchy. Represent for your team to the nitty gritty. School, silly billy. Now bad a tell me.
Nah, man, Cabo Verde have vibes. I want them to go far into the World Cup. I want to see more of them. I want to see more of this Cabo Verde team, coach, because if those are the celebrations and that's the excitement and the vibes that they're going to bring, then we want to see more of that. Kind of give a little Jamaican vibes too, you know, in the street, the dance and the thing and the thing. Just, yeah. I like it a lot. All right. So, Japan now, they bring different vibes. They bring disciplined vibes. And I don't know if you know, but at the last World Cup, they also did this. They're very clean people, and they like to leave their space clean. So we're going to take a look at this and then have our thoughts after.
This is Japanese culture.
Well, in their country, coach, ancillary people don't have no work, no clean up, no clean up company can't get no work.
Man, they are disciplined.
Yeah,
very disciplined and well organized. And I'm hoping and wishing that
we can adapt some of them.
That Jamaica is such a nice place.
We mentioned the fact that the Cabo Verde have a little Jamaican vibes. I wonder if Jamaica want to adapt a little of the Japanese vibes of cleaning up after themselves. I wonder Rashida thinks of this, because I've been to the National Stadium a lot, and I know you have, and I've never, having left the National Stadium or upon leaving, seen a whole group of fans get up and start picking the garbage up to throw away. Don't you wish Jamaicans would kind of adopt that part of the Japanese culture?
Rush?
Rashida?
Definitely, Jordan. As the slogan says, no dirty up Jamaica, and I think that's something we need to consider as people to be, even if we're not like the Japanese in terms of completely clean and disciplined, but whenever you're anywhere in any public space, just carry your rubbish with you and throw it away in a garbage bin.
Yeah, what do you think about the Cabo Verde vibes in the streets?
I mean, their fans have been so amazing in this World Cup. You see the videos of them, and they travel amongst themselves in such large numbers. And it's a running thing on social media, Jordan, of the pretty and beautiful women that are in their country. And they also take a lot of the spotlight in the camera panning in the crowds. And so I'm just so excited. Also, along with the Cabo Verde fans, Jordan, Korean fans also have just been enjoying themselves at the World Cup, and it's so fun to see.
All right, well, guess what? We talked about Vozinha and the number of fans he has now gained at 40 years old, having really played a man of the match performance against Spain. Let's take a look at this video now just to show how much his popularity has grown online.
This is why the World Cup is incredible. Vozinha, the 40-year-old keeper for Cabo Verde, just played the game of his life against Spain, winning man of the match in one of the most shocking results in World Cup history. Now here's what's crazy. Before the game, he had less than 50,000 followers. And after, he has 2 million and counting. And the only thing better than his reaction to seeing that number was his teammates' reaction. This is why the World Cup...
That's what happens at the greatest show on earth, people. You perform and all of a sudden you become a superstar. It has the ability, coach, to transform players and coaches into mega stars from just one performance. And you mentioned something to me in the break, coach. You said that a lot of people gave FIFA flack for expanding this tournament to 48 teams, but this is one of the things that can result.
All the teams that would not have been at the World Cup if it was 32. They have been doing well. Curacao scored their first goal, went 1-1 against, even though they got 7.
They got
went 1-1 and they played. Yeah. All right. All other teams, smaller ones, gave a good account of themselves, and they're repping for their countries. They would have been given some money by FIFA. Their federation can now develop their countries, develop their football. Football can grow. Fans, you saw the CV fans just now, how happy they were. Football does that. And that's why I'm happy that FIFA did what they do.
Yeah. Well, we want to see more good performances from them. We have some more of those, what we would have called lesser teams, or teams that you would not have expected to make the World Cup at a 32-team World Cup. And we'll see what they'll do against the bigger teams. Rashida, what do you think of the growing fan base now, and how a performance like this, even as a small team, can win you so much acclaim if you perform well at the World Cup?
It's also the main reason and point of the World Cup. The World Cup has never just been about the best teams and the best countries. It's also for the teams that are looking for hope. And I am a very emotional fan. I cry at every single thing. And so when I hear these stories of these players and what their journeys are like, a lot of them didn't do professional football before leading into the World Cup. A lot of them also have so much on the line in regards to their countries. I think when you think of teams who are debuting for the first time, scoring against powerhouses, also defending well, I'm all for the 48-team World Cup, and it's just so heartwarming to see.
Yeah, I'm going to admit I wasn't for it, and I'm going to admit that I'm going to take some convincing for this expanded World Cup. I'm not being a hater, by the way. I wasn't necessarily for this 48 team. I thought it was going to water down the World Cup. I'm being proven wrong. Outside of that, Curacao getting 7-1 from Germany, all the teams have acquitted themselves well, so I'll still take a little bit more convincing. But I am more on the side of no, the expanded World Cup. By the way, you know that all the majority of the stadiums in the US they have named sponsors who are brands. Now, if you are a brand that's not affiliated with the FIFA World Cup, you cannot have your brand displayed at the World Cup. Well, the Levi's Stadium found that out, and they had a creative way of blocking out their logo.
Where the only advertising that can be used at a World Cup is FIFA official advertising. So that's basically brands who have paid FIFA for the advertising. This causes a bit of a problem when it comes to the naming of stadiums, especially in America, because quite a lot of the stadiums there are named after brands. I'm not just calling America out here. My own club has got a stadium named after a brand. But America is a place where it's most commonplace. Now you can see here, this is Redacted Stadium in San Francisco. The actual name of the stadium being Levi's Stadium. Levi's jeans have paid to advertise there. They've paid their money to have their name everywhere on this stadium. But FIFA say no. But when life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. You have to lean into it. You have to lean into it. Across their socials, they've now taken Levi's off of the logo. Again, they've taken it off. They could potentially turn this into a generational piece of advertising and marketing. For the rest of my life now, if I see that shape, I will know it's Levi's. They've pulled a blinder here.
Pulled a blinder, have they? How are they going to do that? Well, that's brilliant marketing, and that's what it's all about, obviously. You can't find a way to explicitly display it, then you find other ways. By the way, there was an interesting story as well of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. FIFA wanted the Mercedes-Benz insignia, which is on the top of the stadium, by the way, because it has a retractable roof. And when it closes, you see the Mercedes-Benz logo. FIFA wanted that to be removed, and they were like, no, there's no way we can remove that. It would damage the entire roof of the stadium, so that stays. But even the MetLife Stadium, it's now known as the New York, New Jersey Stadium, so you can't use the promotional name of the brand or the company that sponsors the stadium, but they've found creative ways to still keep their brand in the spotlight. I want to look at the games that are coming up tomorrow, because we have some big games. We know that France, the, of course, two-time World Cup winners, will be in action in Group I. They will play Senegal, and if you're old enough, you know that that match has significant historical relevance, right? 2002, the French, boy oh boy, they don't want to remember that, right? They don't want to remember that. A lot of things in French history they don't want to remember. This is one of them. Iraq versus Norway. Everybody's looking forward to seeing Erling Haaland, right? And what he does at the World Cup. Norway, by the way, with the best World Cup fit. Probably talk about that at some point during the show. They came up with some Vikings team photos that were brilliant. Argentina, the world champions, who, by the way, having won the world title in 2022, nobody's talking about them in 2026. How come? They have the greatest player of all time, Lionel Messi. Greatest player of all time, right? Is he? I don't know. Austria will play Jordan as well in the late kickoff in Group J. So those games are big games. We are going to close our show. I want to quickly get a prediction of the France and the Argentina game from Coach Thomas before we go. France versus Senegal, how you see that one going?
I think 2-0 France.
2-0 to France.
Yeah.
Argentina, Algeria?
4.
4-0 to Argentina?
Yeah.
I'll say you're brave. Rashida?
So Jordan, my Senegalese roots are going to come out here, and I'm going to go very bold in saying that Senegal beats France. But I'm also an Mbappe. So I do have a player that I actually love, and I'm rooting for Mbappe in this tournament. So I'll go for a 2-2 draw for both teams.
Argentina, Algeria?
I am hoping that history serves me right, where the defending champions lose in the group stage, and so I would like Argentina to lose, but it's real life, so I'll go. They win. Nothing impressive from them in that game.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good historical point, by the way. We're talking about France, Senegal. Defending champions have a curse at World Cups, by the way. They don't necessarily do well the following World Cup. France knows all about it from 2002, right? So let's see what happens coming tomorrow. That is our time on Fan Central Extra Time. Thank you so much for having joined us. Thanks to the entire team. Thanks to Coach Jermaine Thomas. Thanks to Rashida Murphy. Thanks to Tyrone Marshall, who joined us virtually. Thanks to you, our viewers, and everyone who worked so hard behind the scenes to make it happen. We're back with you tomorrow in Fan Central Extra Time. If you are a fan who would love to be on our show, drop us a comment. Go on our Instagram, go on our Facebook, CVM_television. Let us know about it. WhatsApp us, DM us. There's our number on screen, 833-0897. Tell us who you are a fan of. If you're a fan, especially of France or Argentina, drop us a comment. And you could be in our studio with Rashida over there in the fan corner tomorrow, chit-chatting and chopping it up with us on Fan Central Extra Time. We're going to say bye-bye for now. We're back with you tomorrow at 8 for Fan Central Extra Time. Stay with us. Of course, lots more great programming on CVM TV. Well, we're at 10 tomorrow. So scratch that 8. We're at 10 tomorrow. Fan Central Extra Time. Stay with us. Thank you so much for watching us. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.
Giannini, Vibe, Fosia, Parede, Essential full up, me team win, every bad cover lift up. Them a silly billy, me carry real bad team, not a illy billy. Now bandwagon to the thing, now bother switchy. Represent for your team to the nitty gritty. School, silly billy. Now bother tell me about your team and them to make the semi. Game speed, girl I call it sugar daddy. CVM TV, for everybody.
Fan Central Extra Time was brought to you by Pepsi Football Nation, where fans make the rules. Football, better with Pepsi. We also want to thank Courts, bringing value home.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, bank fee battle continues as MP Fitzjackson granted right to appeal. Statement of deceased witness in Klansman